Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue in section 3.5, there are two types of absolute value inequalities you have got to learn the pattern to. One of them is absolute value is less than or equal to a positive number, and the other is absolute value is greater than or equal to a positive number. So here's how the patterns work. Let me start with this one. X plus 1 is located at a distance of less than or equal to 5 units away from 0. Okay? So that means you have to stay within 5 blocks of 0. Less than or equal to means your travel is restricted. So remember when I taught this one in class, I talked to you about, you know, when you see a child at the mall on one of those leashes, okay? That's meant to keep that kid close to the parent. Normally I used to hate those things, but now with this society I understand why people use them. But anyhow, picture a kid on a 5-foot long leash. Okay? If the mother or father is the origin, if the distance is less than or equal to 5, that kid can only go 5 units away from that parent in either direction. So let's pretend that kid's walking on a number line. If you can only go 5 units away from 0, that means that you are sandwiched in between a -5 and a +5. In other words, x plus 1, we'll call that the kid, x plus 1 is sandwiched in between -5 on the left and +5 on the right. Whenever you have a sandwich, the inequality signs point to the left every single time. So basically what I'm teaching you is absolute value less than or equal to a positive number is always going to be a sandwich. You put the negative number on the left, you put the positive number on the right, you put the variable expression in the middle, and you put 2 inequality signs pointing to the left. Now to finish this problem, you would subtract 1 from everything, from each part, and that would give me -6 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. So on a number line, our answers would be everything in between -6 and, hear that word and 4. Okay? And again, what did I tell you this was? I said it was a sandwich. How do you spell sandwich? S-A-N-D-W-I-C-H. It's an and. Okay? It's in between this number and this number. So in interval notation, you would write -6, 4. And notice the reason I'm using brackets here is because it said equal. So absolute value less than or equal to a positive number always becomes a sandwich. Okay? Now, the next pattern, what if it said greater than or equal to? Okay, absolute value of x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 5. Greater than or equal to says stay away from me. All right? When I taught this to you in class, I called those the teenage years. I told you there were times I told my daughter, stay away from me right now. Well, this problem would be saying, stay away from me at least by 5 miles. I don't want you any closer right now for your safety. Okay, think about where that would be on a number line. If you are more than 5 blocks away from 0, what that would mean on a number line, let's say 0 is here. If you're more than 5 blocks away from 0, you're either to the right of 5 or you are to the left of -5. Okay? So basically the way you set this up is your expression, x plus 1 in this case, is either going to be to the left of the negative number, so that means less than or equal to -5. You have to put the word or in the middle. Okay? Your expression is less than or equal to the negative, or your expression is greater than or equal to the positive, because you're either to the left of the negative or you're to the right of the positive. And the way I taught you to remember this in class, always put the word or, because these regions do not touch like it did in a sandwich. And the second thing I want you to remember is this. Remember what I taught you in class? The first tip points, points to, you start with the tip and you end with the little tip, okay? Tiny tip, tiny tip. So tip points to the left, tip points to the right. And now we solve. When you subtract 1, x is less than or equal to negative 6, or when you subtract 1, x is greater than or equal to 4. If I graph this, I would have a bracket on negative 6 heading toward negative infinity. So that piece would be negative infinity comma negative 6 bracket in interval notation. The word or becomes union. The next piece, I put a bracket on the 4 and I shade off to infinity. So in interval notation that would be bracket 4 comma infinity. So what I just wrote is the answer to this problem. Negative infinity, negative 6, bracket union, bracket 4 to infinity. That is my solution set. So what you need to practice on in this section are your patterns. Absolute values less than or equal to a positive number is a sandwich. Negative number on the left, positive number on the right, variables, stuff in the middle, things point to the left. When absolute values greater than or equal to or greater than a positive number, there's an or in the middle. You put the variable less than or equal to the negative or greater than or equal to the positive. And you need to practice to learn these patterns.